Today, we're going to be talking about how to reprogram your nafs to crave doing hard work. Aren't you tired of procrastinating, akhi? Aren't you tired of not being able to finally get ahead in your craft, whether that means studying for school, getting that job that you've always wanted, or starting that business that you want? Aren't you tired of not being able to expand your mind by not being able to consistently seek knowledge in the deen and dunya? Aren't you tired of not being able to be completely consistent with that Quran regimen or have a closer relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal? All because you keep procrastinating, you keep not being able to do that hard work. I know exactly how it feels because I was floundering even just a few months ago with the same issues. So in the next 20 to 30 minutes, if you stick to this training of the deen and dunya, I will teach you all the essential mindsets, the essential step-by-step system, and the essential information to get you to do this transformation, bi-idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But before that, let me just introduce myself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Sultan, and I make videos for brothers educating and progressing in deen and dunya. And my mission here is to annihilate weakness and sin in the Muslim males of the Ummah. Akhi, you know you're capable of more than you think. You know, I think we think we're not disciplined, but honestly, it's a lie. When you think you want to reprogram your brain to do hard work because you're not disciplined, that's not true. Because you can play games, right? Think about the story game that you spent I remember once I was playing Far Cry 5 when I was 12 years old. I spent 2 days, I finished the game. Or I think it was 2 days I grinded the game, I won the game. So you can focus, right? I know I've done the same. You can even go check your Epic Games hours. You can study, right? Because when you need to, and you know your parents are going to shout at you, and you know that you're going to get cooked, you have discipline. I mean, I've pulled in 8 to 12 hour disciplined days for a whole month because I had to study for exams. So when you're forced to, you can. And you can be consistent in halal. I mean, you can pray 5 times a day. Is that not true? How many months have you been doing? How many years? Can't you be consistent in haram? A'udhu billah. But how many days consecutively have you watched the haram? So you can be consistent. So the problem isn't focus. It's not discipline. It's not consistency. Because all that's inside of you. All of these abilities to be consistent, to be focused, to be disciplined is possible. Because the fact that we can scroll and swipe, that's all three in one. The problem is about the mechanism in which it comes out. Now, for example, when you have a danger or a fear that your parents are going to shout at you, you can be disciplined when you need to. Like at the edge, when you pull in a graft and you complete your, when you do the all-nighter and you finish studying, everyone does this, right? You could do it well. When you do want to do things for khair, self-improvement, and you feel good, you can sometimes. When you want to do sins, it's super easy because your nafs want to do it. And when you want to do akhirah stuff, it's different. So the problem isn't about consistency or even time or even focus because, and this is a sad statistic, but imagine watching haram versus reading the Quran. How much resistance do you get to watching haram versus reading the Quran? It's so difficult to read the Quran because of that waswasa that you get. It's super resistant. And you feel like after 20 minutes, oh, my voice hurts. And I'm not saying this complaining. It's more like internal thoughts, right? That shaitan is playing on you. 20 minutes or 15 minutes of reciting the Quran feels like 2 hours. Watching the haram, you can do it for hours. Watching movies that are just women on there, you can do it for hours. And the sad statistic is I'm saying we in terms of us as, in terms of being unity with you, you've probably watched more haram in minutes than recited the Quran. So sadly, yes, you can have focus, discipline, consistency, but it's the wrong mechanism. Now, why do we have the wrong mechanism? Now, that's because of our nafs. Now, our kafir psychology, in terms of identity, is extremely confusing. It doesn't make much sense. The point is that you have different little personalities inside of you, and different personalities want different things. It's like the kuffar try and rationalize a spiritual thing. So the reality is it's kind of close, but identity in terms of how it's based on is based on Islamic psychology. So the nafs, the self, the ego, everyone talks about your ego, yourself, your identity, your nafs, that's you, right? Are part of what makes you, right? And ultimately you are made in a dichotomy. So you have your two opposites, and to make it easy, you can see the ruh and the nafs at the bottom. But nafs versus your ruh. So your nafs will contain also these different lower desires, these animalistic desires or evil desires, and you'll have this part of yourself that are precious. So you have your animalistic side that wants to, most of the kuffar live like this, where it's You don't really have high aspirations. You just eat, sleep, have sex, repeat. That's it. That's ultimately like these are desires you have, or even like basic human desires, like even social desires, like wanting to fit in, wanting to have a relationship, wanting love. These are more animalistic sides, right? But we have a more precious or higher self, right? Which can easily be identified in terms of easiness, because technically it is also a part of your nafs. It's all kind of conglomerate there. But it's your higher desires to want to know Allah, right? This comes from your ruh, right? And as you can see in the diagram here, this is the Islamic model of the soul in Arabic. But I didn't want to put Allah Azza wa Jalla's name under my face. So I just cut him out completely. May Allah be exalted. So just imagine that technically your ruh has a connection with Allah, the arrow, right? So that is where you have these higher desires. And even the kuffar, you can see they even express this, right? The same way that Muslims have lower desires, kuffar have higher desires. They seek for religion, they seek for Allah, but they go to shirk because of their waswasa, right? And they choose it. So we have all these different desires, good and bad, animalistic, and higher in terms of our spiritual side. And that's why you promise yourself, like you can have moments where you're like, even for me, like a few days ago, I was like, I'm gonna do qiyam every day, I'm gonna tahajjud, I promise I'm doing it every single day, it's gonna happen. I'm wake up the next morning. Like, why are we completely two different people? It's not about being two different people like the kuffar thing. It's just that your nafs are created in this kind of dichotomy, this mechanism of opposites, right? So it wants and doesn't want. And that's why we can't live in emotional ways, because when we're stuck in emotions and we're not stuck on what is haqq, then we can easily be swayed. So that's why you want to do the work. That's why you want to progress in deen and dunya, because that's the higher part of you that wants to build, that wants to be a khalifa, that wants to do stuff for the akhirah, that wants to get closer to Allah. But then you have these lower desires that are, you want to, have sex, you want to have, you want to eat. So when you have Ramadan, you want to eat and stuff like this, right? These are animalistic desires. Now, I don't exactly want to tell you that your lower desires are bad. Not inherently. Like, the desire is only being programmed for evil. Every desire has its opposite. Even the desire for wanting Allah can be programmed to worshipping shaitan. A'udhu billah. May Allah protect us from kufr. But honestly, shaitan is the one who programs your nafs desires to output as haram. So 99% of your desires are not exactly bad. It's more lower. It's more animalistic. But they can be expressed in the right ways. You just have to conquer your nafs, because your nafs aren't exactly bad. Your nafs have the side, as you can see, right? Nafs al-mutma'inna, nafs al-lawama, nafs al-amara bis-su. There are these good and bad and higher and lower levels of your nafs, yourself. So it's not exactly like it is evil. It's that it can do evil things, depending on what you let it do and what you choose. So shaitan is the one who whispers to it and it accepts. We just have to stop it from accepting. So we can quite literally change the nafs, the self, the ego, the identity, by either and make it flow with us. Have you not had moments where your nafs want to do things that are good, like you have these feelings and desires of reading the Quran? Have you not had those moments? Those moments where you want to do nice things for people? That's still your nafs. But the problem is that we let it go, we allow it to go astray, because when it comes to these lower desires, we don't really manage it. It's only when we have to, like for example, for a purpose of ibadah, like when you do fasting, that's when you're managing lower desires. But you can make it work with you. Your nafs are malleable. As we can see, it goes up and down depending on what it does. So it can change. The nature of it can change. What it does can change. All we have to do is make it malleable and extract that malleableness that shaitan uses to program it for evil, to give da'wah. The same way shaitan gives da'wah for haram, we must give da'wah for the haqq, and give da'wah to progress in deen and dunya to the nafs, and the nafs will help you out, genuinely. And so, through jihadul nafs, through the purification of the nafs, and giving it what it wants on your terms, according to what is correct, i.e. the haqq. Because the nafs work for the highest bid'ah. If you can sell this thing on the fact that you are going to give it what it wants, because ultimately it just wants what it wants. Shaitan makes an offer that's super easy. If you convince the qalb, qalb, i.e. us, right there in the middle, our ability to decide, if you can convince yourself, that's why we get these waswas of our own head, right? To do something haram, you can get pleasure. And it's like, nafs are pleasure driven. Nafs are pleasure and comfort driven. So if you can present a case, and shaitan normally presents the case, why it should do things like watch haram. Because it wants to. Now, if we don't give it another outlet, it's just gonna Or if we're going to fight, we're not going to fight it, we're going to do it. So ultimately, we just have to be the highest bidder. We have to do da'wah against shaitan, to the nafs. And this is something I haven't spoken about recently, but it's been pretty big. So we just have to hardwire our brains differently, or better, hardwire our identity or our self or our soul differently, ultimately. And that's how we're going to change things. So we're going to do this through two parts of the protocol. So we have the analysis protocol. Because as you can see, this iceberg on purpose, I put it there. It's that, and we'll talk about it now. Part one is make them work for you. So please get a paper out. Please, this is an exercise for you to do, inshallah. So the first part of this protocol is, why do you do evil and bad habits? Why? An action is like I've spoken about in the course, Annihilate haram habits. And if you're still stuck doing haram habits and you want to significantly decrease your haram habits in 90 days, the solution's down there in the description. And if you still don't trust me, inshallah, I'm just telling you the extra stuff that I follow to add to all the stuff that I'm saying in terms of like deep stuff in the nafs. That's what we cover in the course. But if you still don't think that, if you still don't trust me enough, inshallah, I have a free resource for you, a free program, 10x deen and dunya. And if you want to 10x your deen and dunya in 30 days, you can go get there. No risk. It's completely free, inshallah. And there's also going to be some stuff about jihad and nafs and some stuff about haram habits in there as well, for free for you as a gift. So make them work for you. Get your paper out. Actions are only an effect. Ultimately, there's always an internal reason why you do something. And it's that internal reason that we can work with the nafs with. The addiction is a symptom of the real thing. An addiction to scrolling social media is not like, you can't rationalize scrolling social media isn't the issue. It's the output of a normal thing behind it, the internal thing to the external. So for example, why do we watch haram? Well, we watch haram, we don't know where the gate is, because we want intimacy. This is a bodily desire that influences our nafs, and our nafs want intimacy, i.e. sexual intimacy, or even love. Why do people go to OnlyFans, right? Things like this. You want that. And Allah has given halal for pretty much everything in terms of these desires, right? As long as they are not in excessiveness or extremism, like intimacy can easily become, a'udhu billah, disgusting things that shaitan whispers to you, and your nafs become this ugly thing where it wants it in complete extremes, right? We need to change that, because Allah has given us the output that is halal for intimacy. Marriage, according to the kitab and wa sunnah, right? And if you do that right, you can get that. It's not like there's some things that are haram, which is the output. The desire is not haram. Making money is not haram. Getting interest is haram. And for a reason. Listening to music is haram because of its output. But wanting to be creative, there are many different ways to be creative. There are many different ways to hear beautiful things. The Quran is beautiful. Why don't you listen to that? It's like, there's a reason why things are haram, but it's not that you want to listen to music, it's an output. So status. Lots of kuffar will chase money, and even, may Allah protect us, lots of us have done it for status, right? There's businesses and work and stuff. You want to be, and even some people, may Allah protect some riyah, they do deen just for status. In terms of like from the people. But so many kuffar, they basically go to Dubai and they live the lifestyle and they do the stuff, they're just addicted to the status because it's an animalistic lower desire and your nafs need it. So it will do whatever it thinks is easier, right? But what if you offered your nafs a way of status that was better? That was according to the kitab wa sunnah. Look at the Sahaba. The Sahaba are men of status. Women are men of status. How honored are they in Islam? Heroes. People who are honored in this life and the next. Look at the Anbiya. May peace be upon all of them. Look at their status. There is status in doing actions for Allah Azza wa Jal. There is status in those, awliya who are there getting Allah's attention or doing ibadah when no one does. Are you out there every single day doing tahajjud? Because those who are there, they're increasing their status. I think we've never really thought about, hey, I want to get to the highest level of Jannah. That's a status. So what if you told your nafs, hey nafs, listen. Instead of doing this thing that's just for this dunya, what if I give you some way of status that is even better? It makes me feel better, makes you feel better, and it's for the rest of eternity. That's a pretty good proposition, right? Because the nafs doesn't really care. It just cares about who's going to give the highest bidder. and who's going to be the most important. So if you can sell this thing, and I literally mean write down how you're going to sell this thing, and these like written statements, you basically what I want you to do is I want you to write down the desire, or write down the output, the watching haram, the haram things that you do, the bad habits like social media, or maybe it's wasting your time, right? There is a reason you do these things. And then you want your second column to be why. What is the desire that is fueling this? So like I said, watching haram is because of intimacy. Scrolling social media is because you want to fit in, because you want attention. Now you're going to write that down to every single thing. And then the third block, how are you going to transmute this desire to progress in deen and dunya? You are going to recruit the nafs as best you can to achieve its desire through what is halal. If you can do that, your nafs won't work against you. You can literally reprogram your soul, yourself, to crave hard work in deen and dunya. I mean, I remember yesterday when I was doing the first shoot of this, is a reshoot, but I remember when I was talking about getting status with Allah. Status with Allah. You tell your nafs that you want status with Allah, Ar-Rahman. You want a status with Ar-Rahman. You got to do this, and this. You're like, whoa, I want to do status. I was actually getting excited to like max out our ibadah. Because you are getting all of you, every faculty that exists inside of you, to work with you. There's no more war. If your nafs are not going to listen to shaitan because you're giving it an out, why not? Do you see what I'm saying? This is how we reprogram it. So we redirect to what is khair in deen and dunya. So you make, for example, when you want to get intimacy, tell your nafs like this, say listen. Like for example, let's say you want to do hard work, right? Your problem is that you're procrastinating. Say listen, nafs, and you can even speak about another tab, another line could be things that you want to do, right? Things that are to progress in the dunya. The other tab is to get rid of them. And you could say, okay, I want to work hard. Okay. What is the desire you can use to get your nafs to do what you want? Well, let's say you want to start a business. Nafs, if you can get certain amount of place in deen, certain amount of place in dunya, certain amount of maturity, I will let you get married early. You probably have certain conditions you want to complete before you think you're ready. Just tell your nafs what you want, and guess who's going to go and grind for you? Like, sell it. Like, literally, try and sell these nafs on what it really wants, because what it wants is intimacy. Show it how it's better doing a halal. Show it how it's forever. And be like, whoa, so okay, if I can just work and make all this stuff and make sure that I'm ready, you're going to let me get married early and then I can do what I want? Yeah. Guess who's going to work for you? If you want to do things for deen, like I said, do it for status. If you want to do things for the dunya in terms of reading, give it a desire that it already has. Even learning is a normal desire, or attention, or curiosity, and push that towards what is good in deen and dunya. Even entertainment. Make learning entertainment. That's what I mean. What you're going to do is you're going to list your bad, you're going to tell me why, and you're going to move that to khair. And then you're going to have another one where you have the khair and what you want to do, which is not being able to be done. For example, you're procrastinating. For example, you want to work hard. For example, you want to do certain acts of ibadah, and you give a reason to the nafs why. And that's you taking your nafs to what it really wants. Because it doesn't really care what it does. All you're doing is making sure that it's not inhibiting you in the deen and dunya. It's actually helping you. And so that's how either you're going to program your nafs or shaitan is. So this is the program. This is how we reprogram our nafs to work for us, ultimately. So again, I just want to reiterate: bad column, good column, reason, and what you're going to do now. Inshallah. So okay. Next is the second point. So sometimes your nafs aren't going to exactly want to work with you. Whether you keep convincing them, and we'll talk about how this is going to come in this part. When you're going to do the work, like I was literally 20 minutes ago before I made this, I was getting tired, right? Because I've been recording, this is the third video. And this is the third time I've recorded this video. It like bugged out. And so I had a lot of resistance. My nafs were like, I don't want to do it again, whatever. If I had reminded my nafs what I'm really doing this for and selling it to them, I probably would have jumped on. But ultimately I chose to do jihad al-nafs in dunya, which is what I did. But you can do both. In jihad al-nafs in dunya, what you can do, which is an extra point, is take these these reasons you're giving the nafs and remind it. Every time you feel resistance, remind it. You can have like a specific paper and you show the nafs, you literally read it out. Do you, like, speak to it? I'm not even kidding. Speak. Do you want this? Do this. That's it. And if you keep showing the nafs the direction that it's going to get somewhere, it's going to do it. I'm telling you. And if you do this jihad next, is 66-day minimum method. So the reason I show 66 days, as you can see down here, it's the ultimacy point. This is the moment that your nafs capitulate. So jihad al-nafs in dunya and deen, ultimately, is you doing strives and not doing what it wants and doing what you want over and over again to the point that it capitulates to the state of what you want. Literally like any other state in the world. You just have to keep fighting until it gives up. Once it gives up, it will be normal. So it's like, why those moments or reasons, like me doing 3 videos probably for the last few hours, it was not normal for me a few years ago. I would have fought. But because I kept grinding, I silenced my nafs, because now this is normal. And that's ultimately what we want with jihad al-nafs in dunya and even in the deen. So when you face that resistance, remind it and also reject it. Do what you want anyway. And so what we're going to do is, in terms of implementing this specific thing, the 66-day method, is you're going to pick 2 things. So for me, I've picked waking up at 5 a.m. and a fun block. So waking up at 5 a.m. is to ensure that I'm consistent, because what shaitan has been doing is making me up and down, up and down. That means that my routine is not consistent, which means that ultimately I'm laxing in seeking knowledge and laxing in Quran and laxing in things that I want to do. So if I got everything right, because I'm trading it, and may Allah protect us from that. So if I get my schedule right, then I will not waste any time. So starting at 5 a.m. and having this 30-minute block of just salah and not rushing the salah and doing sunnah salah, because even that shaitan was attacking me, that's one of the things that I want my nafs to do. This is the jihad I'm going to do for 66 days, to get my nafs to capitulate to this. Because once my nafs capitulate, this is normal for them. They're going to see the khair, they're going to have their desires fulfilled, they're going to feel pleasure. That's when they accept it. So every single moment I feel that resistance, I'm going to have a 66-day tracker, like an extra tracker, right? It's like 2 blocks. I can get it here. I should show you what I mean. It's okay. This is what it looks like. I think I can show it here. There you go. Can you see it? Oh, is that the correct one? Yeah, that's the correct one. You can see these 2. Fun block and 5 a.m. I started it just recently. And ultimately what I'm doing is, it's a specific habit tracker for the things I'm doing jihad against my nafs, to make it normal, to change my identity, to things I want to reprogram. And the second thing is a fun block. So my fun block is basically taking all the time that I waste on social media, like in terms of YouTube right now, and TV, and not touching it. So for 66 days, I'm just gonna not touch social media, basically. That's the jihad that I'm doing, to get my nafs to capitulate to this new point and state that I want it to be at. So, like I said, the first part of the evidence, you're going to use that to remind the nafs every time you feel resistance, but ultimately you need to have 66 days, you're going to track it. And every single time you fail on these 66 days, you're going to start again. Now, don't worry, it's not impossible. I want you to do this for 5 days a week, right? Not 7 days a week, 5 days a week. So 5 days a week, track it for 66 days. So it should be more like 2.5 months, right? So you have the weekend off in terms of forcing to do this, but you can still continue. The faster you can reach 66 days, the faster you're going to get your nafs to capitulate. So if you want to do it for 5 days a week and 2 days a week, you're fine. 5 days a week, you do the jihad that you choose, whether it's right now, maybe for you it's studying. Maybe you can't study easily. Maybe you can't deep work easily. Maybe you can't seek knowledge consistently. Maybe you can't read Quran consistently. And you choose that. Like for me in Ramadan, that was one of the things that I've been doing. So this is what you choose. You choose 2 things from your deen, one of the things from your deen or your dunya, depending on what you're at and what stage you're at. And you pick that, and for 66 days, you're focusing on getting your nafs to capitulate on this. And that's how you're going to reprogram it, because you're going to pick 2 things, and after like 2 or 3 months, you are going to be able to capitulate to this and move to the next thing. Ultimately, you're getting your nafs normalized, and you're programming it to do what you want. So for me, I had to do that process for studying. I had to do that process for working. And now working is fun because my nafs accept it as normal. It's me. It's fun. It's pleasurable. And that gives a feedback loop to the nafs to keep doing it. But some moments, like I said, I had resistance. I had to just do jihad. It keeps being like that, right? And I mean jihad nafs in dunya literally the same way you do in deen. In deen, you reject doing haram. In dunya, you reject wasting your time and missing out. You just keep trudging forward, right? And I mean jihad because ultimately, like I say, everything we do is ultimately we're trying to please Allah with this. We're trying to uplift the ummah. We're trying to, that's what we do in our dunya, right? And so you have that tracker. So remember, remind yourself when you receive resistance and fight the resistance to a tracker. You are specifically focusing on these two things to change your brain to crave hard work. Whether it's, deen or dunya, whatever habit you have that you want to do a hard work in, that's what you need to do. Next is get a habit tracker in general. So this is going to keep you accountable in terms of jihad al-nafs, because you're going to have all of this. So every single day, as you can see, there was days that I did not do stuff. That's you keeping yourself accountable to what your nafs are letting you do. My nafs talked me out of training yesterday. Today I did the opposite. I made it train. So this just shows you your progress in either the things that you're trying to get rid of or the most important tasks for your deen and dunya. So for me, I used to have like a billion things in my habit tracker. I recommend you have it, and like in paper, it's easier. And I put it like where I can see it. And I have dates, literally. And all I have is the most important parts of my deen and dunya. So I have seeking knowledge, learning, work, train, Quran, and the fun block. So that's one of the new things I'm fighting out, right? This just keeps you on track. It's showing you where you're going wrong and where you can repeat these steps again, where you get your thing and you remind yourself, or you get a new desire that you want the nafs to, sell on them, and that's going to help you out. So ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to sell them on something, remind them of that, and fight them when they want to go against it so that they can capitulate in the end. And that's ultimately how you change your identity or your ego or your nafs to crave hard work in deen and dunya. And over time, each 66-day period, you will get easier at doing what you need to do. I never used to sit on this desk and just sit 3 videos in. I still have to do more stuff. But to be able to sit on this desk for 5 hours, right, by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, is not normal. It took me months of fighting this. But each time you go to the 66 days, again, this is based on, more scientific evidence of when your nafs capitulate, you are going to keep reprogramming your brain to what you need to do. And after a few months, you'll get everything easy. Imagine a life where you can study like it's nothing. Hour and a half a day like it's nothing. Work like it's nothing. Like it's not even difficult. It's minimal pain. That's what I'm saying here. When we reprogram our nafs and we give it a reason to do what we want, it will help us out and will give minimal resistance, because we're also fighting the resistance head on. So yeah, that's how we reprogram our nafs to crave doing hard work. And inshallah, there's some extra resources here I have for you. If you want to significantly decrease your haram habits in 90 days, there's an Annihilate Haram Habits program down there in the description, inshallah. You can check it out. And I have the free 10x Deen and Dunya program for giving you value up front. If you still don't trust me with value, inshallah, that program is filled with the things that I've learned for the past 4 years on self-improvement and 2.5 years on Islamic self-improvement, and it's made to 10x your deen and dunya in 30 days, inshallah. You can check that out completely free there. And inshallah, if you could subscribe to the channel to watch more deen and dunya trainings like this, unfiltered videos of education on progressing deen and dunya, because we're on a mission to annihilate weakness and sin and the males of the ummah. So inshallah, I'll see you soon, and wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.